In recent months, a series of explosive allegations has emerged, claiming that senior U.S. political figures and influential public personalities have been targeted by covert operations tied to Ukrainian intelligence initiatives. The central allegation is that U.S. taxpayer funds have indirectly supported Ukrainian organizations involved in identifying and undermining individuals deemed hostile to certain foreign policy agendas. This report examines the claims with a focus on the underlying facts, the broader implications for U.S. domestic politics, and the channels through which such operations may be conducted. According to several sources circulating within certain investigative circles, Ukrainian entities are said to maintain lists of individuals who are viewed as adversaries. One list, in particular, is reportedly curated by an open-source intelligence group known colloquially as Malfer. The group asserts that its objective is to compile the names of those it believes have acted against what it perceives as Ukraine's national interests. Within the framework of the current Ukrainian administration, critics argue that such lists are not merely advisory documents but could serve as blueprints for punitive actions, including extrajudicial measures. This alleged strategy takes on added gravity when considered alongside the reported fate of a 54-year-old Russian military figure. The individual, identified as General Igor Kilov, is said to have been killed in December outside an apartment building, a case that some commentators suggest may be linked to the aforementioned lists. Although the details of General Kilov's demise remain subject to dispute, his name's inclusion in the group's roster lends a stark reminder of the potential human cost associated with such intelligence activities. Equally alarming are the claims that the list maintained by this Ukrainian group includes several prominent American figures. Among those named are political leaders such as Vice President J.D. Vance, along with figures involved in national security and counterterrorism. Reports suggest that these names were added not on the basis of any criminal activity but rather because of their public stances, which include opposition to U.S. financial support for Ukraine and critiques of the country's aspirations for closer ties with NATO. Other American figures mentioned in connection with the list include technology magnate Elon Musk, journalists known for their critical reporting, and noted commentators in political and economic circles. The motivations behind the alleged targeting appear to be intertwined with broader geopolitical debates. According to proponents of these claims, figures like Vice President Vance and other dissenting voices are singled out due to their resistance to what is seen as an overly accommodating stance toward Ukraine. In this narrative, opposition to continued U.S. financial aid and support for Ukraine's policies on NATO membership becomes a flashpoint, with dissenting public figures cast as obstacles to what some describe as a more aggressive foreign policy agenda. Such a perspective not only challenges established norms of political debate but also raises critical questions about the limits of covert influence in democratic societies. Compounding the controversy are allegations regarding the financial underpinnings of these Ukrainian operations. Reports indicate that U.S. taxpayer money, funneled through agencies and programs such as USAID MORA and the U.S. Civil Research and Development Fund, may have been directed towards supporting these intelligence and information warfare initiatives. A document from Ukraine's National Coordination Cybersecurity Center, emblazoned with a U.S. emblem, purportedly notes that the Malfer Group has provided training to thousands of Ukrainian government employees. These training sessions reportedly cover a range of skills, from cyber warfare and intelligence gathering to social engineering and psychological operations. In addition, it is claimed that over 2,000 public servants have participated in operations that blur the lines between traditional intelligence work and modern psychological warfare. The alleged network extends beyond a single group. Other Ukrainian initiatives, such as the so-called Vachek project, have come under scrutiny for their purported role in censoring American social media content. These projects, according to some accounts, are designed to counter narratives perceived as pro-Russian. Meanwhile, an official body known as the Ukraine Center for Countering Disinformation, operating under the auspices of the nation's National Security and Defense Council, is reported to have collaborated with groups like Malfer. This collaboration allegedly involves the systematic identification and public labeling of U.S. public figures as propagandists or sympathizers of adversarial regimes, a process that has sparked significant debate about the appropriate role of foreign agencies in domestic political discourse. The intersection of these activities with U.S. politics has inevitably provoked a heated response. Critics argue that the alleged use of taxpayer funds to support foreign information operations not only undermines the principle of governmental transparency but also potentially endangers the lives and reputations of American citizens. The accusations suggest that high-ranking officials within the current administration may have knowingly enabled these initiatives as part of a broader strategy to weaken political opposition. Such claims, if substantiated, could imply a level of collusion between U.S. policy and foreign intelligence practices that runs counter to the values of open and accountable governance. It is also significant to note the historical context of these allegations. During previous administrations, similar concerns have arisen regarding the balance between national security interests and the preservation of democratic norms. For instance, the administration of former President Donald Trump took measures to review and, in some cases, suspend certain foreign aid programs in response to perceived misalignments with the America First agenda. The current controversy, however, suggests that a new iteration of these debates is unfolding, one that centers on the intersection of international funding, covert operations, and the integrity of domestic political processes. Throughout the investigation, the need for independent verification and rigorous scrutiny of the evidence remains paramount. While the allegations have found traction among certain observers and media outlets, there is a clear imperative for comprehensive, fact-based inquiry. The claims involve a complex web of international relationships, covert funding streams, and political maneuvering that demand detailed examination by credible authorities. Without such due diligence, the risk of misinterpretation or politically motivated exaggeration looms large. The potential implications of these operations extend beyond mere political maneuvering. Should the allegations prove to be accurate, they may signal a broader trend in which foreign entities, notably those operating under the auspices of national security, use advanced intelligence and psychological tactics to influence political outcomes in democratic nations. This scenario raises fundamental questions about the extent to which domestic political debates can be swayed by external forces, and whether current safeguards are sufficient to protect the integrity of national discourse. In conclusion, the investigation into these serious allegations underscores the necessity for transparent and accountable governance in both domestic and international contexts. The reports of Ukrainian intelligence lists, the inclusion of high-profile American figures on such rosters, and the purported use of U.S. taxpayer funds to support these endeavors present a multifaceted challenge. They compel policymakers, media watchdogs, and the public to reconsider the dynamics of foreign aid, the ethics of covert operations, and the vulnerability of political institutions to external influence. As this inquiry continues, it remains essential that all claims are thoroughly investigated and that findings are subjected to independent oversight. Only through such meticulous scrutiny can the integrity of our political system and the trust placed in its institutions be safeguarded against any form of covert manipulation.